Welcome, everyone, to episode 17 of Full Court Magic. I am Don Strouble, your host and the Orlando Magic beat writer for Roundtable Sports. As always, this episode is powered by Roundtable Sports. And folks, I am sorry I've been away for a while. If you've been keeping up with the channel, you see that recently I've had to revert to posting YouTube shorts, just to keep the channel active. Life has been busy, and when I wanted to go live from the arena the other night, things were a little chaotic just with it being the final home game of the season. But I'm back now, and I'm back ahead of the final regular season game, and a critical one at that, as in some ways the Magic control their destiny, in other ways it is being left up uh, to chance and the hope that other dominoes will fall their way. It's crazy. Last time I was on this show for a full episode was 10 days ago, based on what YouTube's telling me, after a nasty loss to the Atlanta Hawks at home, in which the Magic were blown out. And things really, really looked dire for this team. They just continued to skid. That was only their third win over the last like 11 or 12 games at that point, after the 7-game win streak that we saw from early to mid-March. And it looked like, it looked like a team that, worst case scenario for me, uh was headed towards not having another home game at all after the final one against the Minnesota Timberwolves on April 8th. But this team has turned it around since then, winners of 5 straight after that loss to Atlanta. The Magic go to Dallas, overcome Cooper Flagg's 51 points, a win at New Orleans, and then a couple of wins at home against the Pistons and the Timberwolves before beating the Chicago Bulls on Friday night. And now they go to Boston to face a Boston team that is going to be resting most of its key roster pieces, if not all of them. I'm looking at the injury report right now. The all-star duo of forwards and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum will not play. Peyton Pritchard is doubtful. Sam Hauser is doubtful. Nikola Vucevic is doubtful. Derek White is out. And so that's a lot of names on this list, and that's where the Magic have benefited recently. That pair of games at home against Detroit and Minnesota, you still had to win those games. Those are still talented teams, and the Magic were able to do so. But context matters. They did not have to face a Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, Karis LeVert, so on and so forth when they hosted the Pistons. They did not have to face an Ant Edwards and a Rudy Gobert when they faced or hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then the Chicago Bulls, knowing their season was over, pretty well beat up, with only a few guys available in that game on Friday. And now a chance to go into Boston and a chance to win out and potentially enter the 6th seed, uh, and avoid the play-in, which would be huge for this team. That this is something that myself, and I'm sure most of the Magic faithful, were not really even seeing as a possibility after that loss to the Hawks. This was a team that looked dead in the water. That I remember that post-game presser was very, very contentious. Jamal Mosley talking about, you can't coach effort. He also did not blame the fans for their chants calling for his job and the boos that echoed throughout the arena. But since then, this team, it took its last shot to do something with the end of the regular season, and they've done it, and they've done it as well as you could do. Winning today, that'd be 6 straight wins. That's winning out the remainder of the regular season, and that's really all you can ask for at this point. Something that Jalen Suggs talked about, I believe, before that loss to Atlanta. Yeah, I think it might have even been before the win against the Suns, which was a critical win. Um, where he talked about, this is the reality of things. We are in a play-in spot, like we're a play-in team right now, but that doesn't mean that's what we have to settle for. And I'm paraphrasing here, but that was the gist of what he was getting at. And so now you look at where this team is at, and they have one more chance here to really finish this thing off the right way and, kind of like propel themselves into a possible playoff spot and avoid a play-in situation. Now, my colleague Philip Rossman Reich of Orlando Magic Daily did a wonderful job breaking down um what the Magic's postseason picture looks like currently and what it could look like. So all credit goes to him on this. I am referencing his story and his breakdown on this because he did such a tremendous job in putting this together. And I really think that, that, yeah, I mean, he's been around this team for so long and he has like such an understanding of how things are set up in this moment that I wanted to give him that credit and also reference his piece. So here's where things are looking. Um, Philip wrote that with a win on Sunday, the Magic are guaranteed to finish no worse than seventh in the Eastern Conference, hosting the 7-8 playing game on Tuesday at the Kia Center. So that's significant because that means the Magic will have a home court advantage, as good a home court advantage as you can get being a play-in team. Um, to try and propel themselves into a playoff spot. Now, it's one of those things where currently the Magic are seventh with the 45-36 record. Just ahead of them are the Toronto Raptors with an identical record, and I'm going to get into how that um, it dictates the Magic's fate with Toronto's game against the Brooklyn Nets today. Then behind Orlando, you've got the 76ers at 44-37, and then the Hornets in ninth. And so, that this is definitely, it doesn't get any more important than this today. Unfortunately for the Magic, they don't have the luxury of resting guys getting ready for the postseason. This is where they are. There are no days off from this point. And so Philip continues to write. He said, with a win and a Toronto Raptors loss to the Brooklyn Nets, the Orlando Magic would climb out of the play-in and finish sixth, setting up a first-round playoff series with the New York Knicks. That's crucial because that means now Toronto understands its situation. It understands that losing means falling into the play-in. And so you got to know that the Raptors are going to be fighting their ass off to remain in the playoff picture and set up their date with the New York Knicks instead of ending up in a play-in picture here. And the Nets, for all intents and purposes, like the season is over. Philip continues to write. He said the Nets, for their part, have already clinched the top odds in the NBA draft lottery and cannot fall out of the bottom three in the league with a win. So their season's done. It's not to say that they won't play hard, but chances are the Raptors are going to win this game. I mean, upsets can happen, but they understand what's on the line. So the most likely scenario is Orlando hosting the 7-8 play-in game against what's looking like will be the Sixers on Tuesday. But there is a scenario that could be even worse for the Magic, which they would want to avoid. And Philip goes over that. He says, if the Orlando Magic lose and the Philadelphia 76ers win, the Magic would tumble to eighth to play the Sixers if the Toronto Raptors win, or to play the Raptors if the Raptors lose their game. Uh, yeah, yeah, that wouldn't be good. The Magic, they don't want to tumble to eighth because then you got to go on the road, and that's just not conducive. I mean, this team has been much better at home. Jalen Suggs, I asked him the question the other night. after the win against Phoenix, or not Phoenix, excuse me, Detroit, about what the crowd has meant to him through the highs and the lows with only one regular season home game remaining. And he sent out that PSA where he looked directly at the camera, like I'm doing now, and said to the fans, how bad the team needs them. And they're going to get that if they can remain in seventh at the very least. So our best case scenario here is Magic win, Raptors get upset, Magic propel in the sixth. Worst case here is that Magic lose, 76ers win, Magic fall into the eighth seed. And that, yeah, they just don't want that to happen. So Philly is going to host the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Bucks are a very frustrated team. It's been a nightmare season for them between all the rumors surrounding Giannis. There was reports recently of, Doc Rivers growing frustration and what looks to be his exit from the organization in the summertime, whether it's of his own accord or if he is fired. And yeah, I mean, so it's hard to say that, Philadelphia is going to allow Milwaukee to win this one. But the 76ers are going through their own stuff right now. Joel Embiid just underwent an operation for appendicitis. Just, freak emergency that happens. I've been there. I've had to have an appendectomy, and it's something that just sneaks up on you. And it needs to be treated immediately, or else it could get very bad. But this is still a very formidable team without him. And I don't expect Philly to lose. But really, the Magic just have to win this game. They have to take advantage of a Celtics squad that is locked into the 2 seed. They understand their destiny going into the playoffs, and they're not going to needlessly play their best players. And the Magic have to take advantage. It's not an option, and there seems to be a general consensus within the locker room that is understood. Jamal Cain, after scoring a season high 20 points on Friday, made it very clear that there's still a lot on the line, and that the Magic have to win this game. And it's really that simple. I mean, there's no point in me going around in circles. I've laid out the picture for you guys based on Philip's article and his great job in breaking everything down. And nothing is changing that. This is the framework of what the Magic are dealing with right now. And they've come this far to essentially pull what looked like a season dead in the water out of the water, and give it some life again. And crazier things have happened, but if the Magic win this game today, they set themselves up for the possibility of somehow miraculously jumping into a playoff spot, but at the very least giving themselves a chance to host this play-in game, which they were good in the play-in last year, able to get through it and get into the playoffs. And so this team has had its back up against the wall for over a week now, understanding the stakes, understanding what was slipping through their fingers. And it's one of those things now where you have to take advantage of the moment, because this is it. This is game 82 of 82. And I know that it has not gone as planned for this group, given the preseason conversations after the acquisition of Desmond Bane, and the way the Eastern Conference was looking with the injuries and the uncertainty. This is not the conversation that Magic fans or even the national media thought that we would be having. This was a team that was being talked about within the realm of an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, not a play-in tournament. But this is the hand that has been dealt. This is the hand that the team has created for itself. And now it's about making the most of what you got, and this is what the Magic got, and so it's gonna have to be all hands on deck. Um, I'm looking forward to it. This is a very fun time of year. As long as they win this game, you guys will see me in the Kia Center on Tuesday night, where I will be bringing plenty of content to you. And, really looking forward to some postseason basketball here. And we will see what the Magic do with the opportunities here at hand. So, as always, thank you guys for joining in. Please keep up with the Roundtable community. For more Orlando Magic stories, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet and you like what you see. I have seen some more growth, which I'm appreciative of. Thank you as always for your time. Uh, and I'm Don Struble, and this has been Full Court Magic.